Film questions and stuff from the actual what happened, because we got reporters over here, so so yeah, sure, right over here. Good. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you sent the film to
Haven't yet. We contacted this agent, but we never heard back. I would love to hear what he thinks though, because I really do. We did really try to make this fair, so so I'd like to hear what he thinks. I really would. Oh, sure, yeah.
This is kind of open for anybody to answer. Do you ever think Brett Favre or Ted Thompson will put this behind them?
No. Repeat the question.
The question was whether or not Brett Favre and Ted Thompson will ever put this behind them. Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls with Pittsburgh, and he stayed away for about 25 years after he retired. I don't know if the healing process will take that long. It wouldn't surprise me if it did. I think it's too early to answer that. That's my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel.
I think it all depends on how Brett Favre has managed his money, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, I think for both parties, the Packers aren't in any kind of dire financial straits, but I think for both parties, they're all going to make more money if they can kiss and make up. So I think that's probably why it's going to happen sooner than any of us really think.
I don't have a question, but I have an appreciation for what you did, because at a certain point, I had to stop watching everything because it was like a soap opera and it was too upsetting. And I was like, I'm just going to let this go and wait, because I can't handle it. Because I do appreciate the sport person that is Brett Favre, and I do love the Packers, and I didn't know how to do that. And I know that time always and distance always show you. And I so appreciate what you guys did, because it is fair, in my opinion. And I had a great time watching it. I laughed, I cried, I screamed. I loved it.
Thank you very much. We got one in the back there, I see.
Great film, loved it. Question for you: do any of you have you heard any conversation, or do you have an opinion about the Packers retiring Brett Favre's jersey?
Yeah, I think they should have done it a while ago. I think that as soon as, every time that he retired, and I know that's kind of a joke, but I think that Mark Murphy has just been an absolute disaster as the president of the Green Bay Packers. And this is the one thing that he had to do, was figure out a way to make nice with Brett Favre, or at least make it look like they're trying to make nice with Brett Favre. Every time he retired, they should have said, okay, let's plan Brett Favre Day. We're gonna have you come in, and because now it looks like they were trying to rush him out in 2008. If they would have just done that every single time, everything exactly the same except for the locker. If they would have done everything exactly the same, they would look fine. Now it looks like both parties are bitter, and who knows how long this thing's going to last. But I think they should retire his number as soon as possible. I think they should offer for him to come back to Green Bay, and we'll figure out just how bitter Brett Favre really is.
Really will, though? Some of us, speaking from a true diehard Packer fan, I'm the 300 that's categorized in that video. He's all that I know. I'm not ready for him to come home.
Speaking strictly from a fan's perspective, I think the wounds are still a little too fresh, for that to happen. I don't think the Packers could foresee any time soon that it would be a proper time to retire his number, and I don't think Brett would feel very comfortable coming into Lambeau Field anytime soon. So I think what's probably going to happen, my best guess, is that they'll both wait until he's inducted into the Hall of Fame, at which time that would probably be a good time, time to retire his number, and we'll do it then.
In 4 years.
I was wondering if you guys could maybe paint a picture of what you think the Hall of Fame ceremony will be like. And how you think Packer fans will react to it?
I think there's still a lot of hurt feelings, like everybody's saying, but when you have a player of his magnitude, I think the wounds will heal, and I think they have to heal. I mean, I think there will be a Brett Favre day. I think, you know, when you talk about the ceremony in Canton, I think thousands of Packers fans will show up. I'm one of those, you know, I'm exactly about 30 years old, so I grew up watching him, and I lived the divorce and the bitterness and him playing for the Vikings, but I think back now, and I can't imagine him not at some point being accepted back into the family. It may take a while, but he was a great player. I mean, none of this ever changed that, ever. None of it changed how good he was and the prominent role that he had in leading a franchise that was so bad for so long back to where they got. So Packers fans will show up, and I think eventually we'll all, I don't want to say it'll all be forgiven, but there'll be ceremonies, there'll be I don't know about statues, but you know, his number will hang up there. I don't think there's any question.
I think just to add a quick note to that, I'm about 60, so I've got twice as much perspective on that. And I can't help but comparing the history of Bart Starr to Brett Favre. It's so similar in so many respects. And to this day, Bart Starr is still seen as a god in Green Bay. He's one of the classiest people you've ever met, both on the field and off the field. And I've never heard of a fan say, you know, a poor word about Bart Starr. And to see that what Brett did to himself. That, you know, he too could have had this, you know, for the rest of his life, but he let his ego and, you know, just his emotions get the best of him, and he ruined a legacy. You know, he doesn't have to worry about his life being in danger coming back a few years from now, you know, but on the other hand, he'll never, ever attain what Bart Starr has.
Brett Favre is literally all I know. I mean, that's all I watched growing up. It used to be Brett Favre's card. I mean, you know, growing up in grade school, we traded cards a lot with football cards and all that. Now, I actually have to try to pawn those cards.
I'd say hang on to them. They're gonna be worth more money in a couple years. I think the thing that I noticed during the film, and I think the greatest tribute to Brett Favre, is the fact that a lot of people came here that are still mad at Brett Favre. but the thing that I noticed was that it was plays you've seen before. I mean, it's the first touchdown pass in the Super Bowl to Andre Rison. You know, I mean, it's all those plays that you've seen before. And even if you're mad at Brett Favre, you can't help but cheer. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I caught myself doing it. And, I mean, that's the thing that's so amazing about Brett Favre. I mean, he's, in a lot of cases, you know, all due respect, he's like the ultimate. He's like the ultimate prodigal son. I mean, no matter what he does, and no matter how much people's feelings are hurt, ultimately you still have the moments. And that's the one thing. You can't, as much as you're upset at Brett Favre, and you have every right in the world to be upset at Brett Favre, you can't let that take away the moments from you as a fan.
And also I think we need to keep in mind that that would be even harder to get over right now if he had not come back in 2010. As Tom Pelissero says in the film, he could have gone out after, you know, beating the Packers twice in 2009, and imagine how you'd be feeling right now then. You'd never gotten the shot at him. I mean, that was how it ended. It was Favre walking off the Lambeau field victorious as a Viking. So I think we're fortunate to be where we are.
We have time for 2 more questions, please.
At this point over here, I just think Brett Favre is this kind of larger-than-life character, and just how can you just stay mad at somebody that's more of a character than kind of a drama queen type character forever? You know, he's just a funny guy, I think.
Well, I can answer that question too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll give you this.
Yeah.
I can answer that question too. How can you stay mad at him? He insisted on playing for the Minnesota Vikings.
But yeah, that really says it all. I don't think there's very many Packer fans across the state. I mean, we've got 5 million people in Wisconsin. I think you probably count on one hand the number of people who are really upset that he played for the New York Jets. Right. You know, if he couldn't play for Green Bay or didn't want to play for Green Bay, go ahead, play football. You know, but don't come back here and suggest that you want to play for a Super Bowl, you know, bound team, the Minnesota Vikings. The Jets were a Super Bowl bound team already. You know, they had the caliber, so it had really nothing to do with that. It was all playing against the Green Bay Packers and shoving it to Ted and Mark.
I think it affects the younger fans too. We have 2 sons, and when this happened, when Brett retired and we went through this, one son was sobbing. I mean, he's like asked me, are the Packers going to go out of business? That was one son. The other child, to this day, won't take grape-flavored Tylenol because it's purple and white. So I got it both. And the other thing too, on Favre's jersey, you know, Donald Driver does a lot of work with Goodwill. If you wait in line for any of his books, his children's books, you will see the Brett Favre jersey on sale for $2.99 at Goodwill.
Final question.
The last several years, I always felt like it was all about Brett. And I guess I would want to know what your opinion is on how he treated Aaron Rodgers, how he said he wasn't there to teach Aaron Rodgers.
For the beat reporters here.
That's not me. I think it happens more often than we'd like to think. I mean, I think that attitude among quarterbacks, among all the things that we can blame Brett Favre for, I didn't want some young punk coming in and taking his job. He wanted another wide receiver, you know. So I mean, yeah, it's not an attractive quality. There's a lot of unattractive qualities that were revealed in Brett Favre in this thing, but I mean, I can't really hold that against him now, just because you look at it and there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that have done the same thing, and you know, and at least I guess you could say Favre had the guts to be openly cold to Rodgers.
And Bill's right. I mean, you got a guy trying to take your job. You're a professional athlete. They're proud. And Favre proved that he still had some football left, and I think Rodgers proved that Favre was right to be worried about him taking his job, you know, as good as he's turned out to be. So I don't know if you can, you know, yeah, it was ugly, but like Bill said, I would agree that is it hard to fault somebody for not wanting them to steal your job?
We'll see when the Broncos play the Colts if Peyton Manning insists on being in the
One thing that you would notice with Favre before was that he would always play around with the other quarterbacks. He was close with Craig Nall, he was close with Doug Peterson. Training camp, you would see him in practice, and when those guys were throwing, he'd jump into the secondary and try to pick off a pass as a cornerback. He was always forcing around with those guys. Didn't see any of that with Aaron. There's a 14-year age difference between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and the first time that Aaron came to the Donald Driver softball charity thing, Brett was there and Aaron was there, and so was Brett's daughter, who was a really pretty young girl, like maybe 18. And I remember asking Brett about that, you know, and he's like, you better stay away from her, you know. So, and he was joking, he was kidding, but the age difference was so immense. And I don't think Brett was really looking to mentor anybody. He was looking, you know, Doug Peterson was like one of his closest friends. A lot of people thought Doug was on the team to keep Brett company. So I think the age difference was a huge factor. So
I agree with everything, and yeah, second.
Okay. Thank you very much. Last Day at Lambeau, great film. Thank you.
Over to, I'm forgetting the name of it now. Brokaw. We're just going to be getting some drinks over there and stuff, so if you want to come over and hang out, we're going to be there. So.
Great. And don't forget to do your cabins for Stephen Brew audience. points balance. Number 1 is poor, 5 is awesome, and put in the ballot boxes. Thank you for attending the 14th Annual Wisconsin Film Festival. Hope to see you later this week.